All right. Welcome back to the spoiler review of the 1940s Superman cartoon. Now we're gonna break this freaking thing down, up and down, left and right. Like, there is a lot that I had questions here, and now that I am not doing a non-spoiler and I can actually talk about it, I'm kind of excited to talk about it. But let's start off right off the bat. Okay, right off the bat, like I said in the last episode, it's super old, older than me. It made me feel old. It made me feel like I was watching Disney. It made me feel like I was watching a Scooby-Doo cartoon, like stuff like that. The music was very, cinematic from that time. First thing right off the bat, there is a note. You know what I mean? Where the daily plan, there's a note, there's a threat note saying, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna shoot lasers at the city or whatnot at midnight if my demands don't get met, or whatever it was. And the first thing I noticed is Lois Lane jumps to it and says, "I'm gonna go talk to him." Mind you, this episode's 10 minutes long. First thing she does is gets in a fucking plane. Do they just have planes just sitting there in the parking lot of the Daily Planet or there's just a plane in the street just waiting for her to, or a plane on the roof just waiting for her to get on and just say, "Fuck it, I'm going"? Like, she would have to go and travel to an airport. You know what I mean? I don't know what time. I forgot what time it was in the episode, but she has X amount of time, and she just gets in a fucking plane? Like, what are we talking about here? What is this? Like, I don't know. It was just astounding to me. And if you guys took the time to watch it, like I said, I'll put the video in the description of this video as well. But if you guys took the time to watch it, you will see what I'm talking about. To where she just gets on a damn plane and says, "Fucking YOLO, let's go. Let's go talk to this guy that's threatening the city with a laser beam." You know what I mean? It's just fucking hilarious. That was like the first thing I noticed off the bat. I got no words. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, granted, it's, old cartoon, but fuck, I wish I had a fucking plane just sitting in the parking lot waiting for me to, just jump in whenever I was fucking ready to go do a news segment for the newspaper, or a column for the newspaper. Like, fuck. Jesus. Next thing I noticed is, obviously the scientist, lab is on a mountain, so she flies over there and, like, nonchalantly knocks on the fucking door. Like, what are we doing? You'd even try to, like, sneak in. Like, I don't know what your motive is, if you're just gonna go and just, like, get an interview with him or whatever the fuck you think you're doing, but what are we talking about here? Let's just fly over, knock and say, "Hello, I'm here for an interview, and I'm going to try and ruin your plans," you know what I mean, at the same time. Like, what are we doing? You're just setting yourself up for failure. Obviously, I don't know if in her mindset she thinks I just got, Superman fucking on speed dial. Even though she doesn't have a cell phone, but I got him on speed dial. I don't know how I'm going to contact him, or, maybe he can hear me just scream, from miles away. Obviously he can, but yeah. You see where I'm going at here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even trying to, like shit talk it. Just there's just so many things of, like, what are we doing and why? This is not the way. And so we continue on with the episode, and, the laser beam finally charges up. The scientist gets it going, and it shoots at a bridge in the city. And, Clark hears it on the radio. And now, if comics like I do, or you know Superman like I do, like, you know, or you grew up watching the movies, or et cetera, you know what he does. And what he does is back in the day, he used to go in a telephone booth and change into his Superman suit, or in the alley and change. It was either one of the two. It was either an alley. I forgot when he started doing it in the alleyway, but before that, it was in the phone booth. So, first thing I noticed is that he went into the stock room of the newspaper. Instead of going to the roof, or instead of going into an alley, or instead of going to a phone booth like he used to do. And you know, that was one thing I was like very questionable to me. Like maybe they didn't know, or they were just, you know, at the time they just said, you know, this is when Superman actually first started. So maybe they just didn't have their foundation set. You know what I mean? And they didn't have that set up for the time being, and they were just like, okay, let's just try this stockroom. I don't know. I just know that as me growing up, I used to saw Superman changing into the super suit in a phone booth. Maybe this was the first time. I don't know. Maybe this was like the first couple times he changed into it. I don't know. But, you know, I hope eventually he does go into the phone booth as he used to do, and change into his suit. But what I did notice in this first episode was that he changed in the stockroom. And then what I noticed after that is that he didn't actually fly. They actually say that in the beginning of the episode where he jumps over buildings. The one thing I noticed is that he just jumped. He leaped. I don't know if, you know, because of when the comic started and when this cartoon started, I don't know, like he didn't have the power to fly yet. Because it was just the beginning, you know, the golden age of comics and superheroes. I don't know if he eventually will get super flight, or if he'll, you know, be able to fly at some point. But that was one thing I also did notice, is that he just jumped towards the laser beam that was being charged up and shot again in the episode, because, like I said, the first laser hit the bridge, the second one was being focused on the Daily Planet, and Superman changed and jumped towards the laser instead of flying it. And what happened is that he started punching the laser beam, and like I was kind of just astounded, like, punched? Like, what are we talking about here? And he was like punching at it to where he's like punching bullets away. Like, how did you break down a laser like that to where you can break like little particles off the laser to get closer and closer to the source of it? So that was a little bit interesting, which I never really seen before until now. Ironically, I see it in a 1940s cartoon, you know, him punching a damn laser beam. It was cool, and it was kind of shocking and astounding. It was like surprising, you know what I mean? Interesting, actually. Kind of made up for, you know, him not having super flight. And then, you know, as the episode goes on, he stops the laser. He actually gets shot down because the scientist charges and juices up the laser beam up a little bit more, you know, pushing the limits of it, and knocks him back down. Eventually, Superman, you know, destroys the laser beam, stops the scientist, saves Lois, etc., etc. You know, the laboratory explodes, scientist goes to jail. But it was a lot to take in for a 10-minute, you know, episode. Yeah. I mean, for like, I don't know what the hell Lois was thinking, but you know, I hope the series gets a little bit better. I know there's only 17 episodes, but I hope I don't see any more of these, you know, stupid, you know, actions made by Lois. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, her character specifically. You know what I mean? You know, the plane was definitely like the number one. Like, wow, why? You know, like, what are we doing here? I know it's different, you know, times. You know, it's what? We're in 2025. That's 1940. We're talking like No. 80 years ago? That's a long ass time, man. Like the times have changed. You know what I mean? Like I said, I hope the cartoon gets a little bit better. I hope it grows. But we'll see. Uh, Hopefully it gets better. Hopefully, the next Superman cartoon is a little bit different, and Lois's character makes better choices. And hopefully we don't see any more planes where she just gets in a fucking plane anymore. But yeah, we'll see. But so far, I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? So far, even with all the questionable things, I enjoyed it. It was super sweet and simple, and like I said, like at the time, which is understandable for some of the things, like him only being able to jump over buildings, and not being able to fly. I get it. This is right when Superman, superhero comics were starting, so it's understandable. That he was limited at the time, or he didn't have the certain superpowers at the time. So I get it. I really do. But it'll be very interesting to see how it grows. You know what I mean? As we continue on. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it, and I hope to keep enjoying it, and hopefully, other things don't pop up and surprise me like they did, like this one. But yeah, we'll see. But sounds like the baby is waking up finally, and I'm gonna have to let you guys all go. I will see you all then. Peace. Bye.